Hey all, welcome to Science Books Review. In this video, I am going to review The Boys Season 1 from Amazon Prime Video, and I have finished watching the Season 1 just right now, and I'm really very excited to share my thoughts. So let's get into it. My overall experience of this series is I do want to mention this in perfect Homelander accent, but I know I would mess that up. So let me be normal. And down from my heart, I gotta need to tell you, this season one is really very perfect. All 8 episodes are really very good, and every screenplay and every character's plot line or the conflict between the character, all these aspects it does clicked out really very well in the season one, and I'm thoroughly enjoyed everything down here. And this series is really very strong in ideology wise, and as I have mentioned in a lot of my previous videos, and I would love a series, whether a television series or a book series, which doesn't manage to break all the stereotypical aspects which been built up from time to time. For example, let's take a fantasy oriented books, and there would be definitely a wizard who would guide all the people to their destiny. And for the notable examples are Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter series, and I really loved this book series which does manage to break all the stereotypical elements. And here too, this series does manage to break all the stereotypical elements of a superhero, whether in comic books or else in the television films. For example, let's take Superman. He does being came out from the other world, and he would be raised by one of the well uh, helpful oriented man in this world, and he would be raised up really very well, and he can able to control all his temper, whether his two school friends or college friends may bully him, but he can able to maintain his integrity. That is how every superhero films would move on, right? But here they can able to broke all these elements, and it's really very lovable to watch a series which does have an entirely new perspective. I'm not actually a really big fan of a superhero movies on a whole. Initially, I watched all the Marvel movies up until the end game. After that, I do lost interest and get involved myself into the fantasy genre books and series. So it's really very lovable. I would really love a series which does have a complex characters, or else yeah, as I have already mentioned, which has managed to break some of the stereotypical elements, and this series does manage to do the both, and I'm really very much thankful for trying this series. And got a need to give a really big shout out to all the script writers for this one. Very enjoyable, and they does manage to handle with a lot of critical aspects in the series with ease, and nothing is somewhat really very intelligent for the viewers. It is somewhat really very takeable, and we can able to relate to all these characters. So yeah, that's I have talked a lot in my overall experience, and now let's get into the review, and I would discuss about all the plots and all these characters been out there. But wait, this section is not going to contain any of the spoilers, and so you can watch this video, and I will mention all the things which does works out really very well, and why I do love this series a lot. So, and now let's get into the review, and I loved how the way they just started off the season one. They didn't care about any of the superheroes being out there. For they didn't give any introduction to any of these characters, whether it's Homelander or A-Train. They didn't care about any of them. They just started off with a common man, Hughie, and instantly I just started to love his character, and he, whether it's a grief, whether it is a good moment or a happy moment, we can able to feel alongside with this character, and it straight away made the point. Even within the episode one itself, it straight away get into the storyline by mentioning the world is not actually a good place, even with their superpowers, and really enjoyed Hughie's character. And this character is somewhat really very hard to write, to be honest, because by the very start of the episode, they got a need to build his relationship with Robin, and they got a need to project him that he do truly loved her. And by the very end of the season, they got a need to build his relationship with Annie's character, and it's a really very tough job because people may easily question like, but by the very first episode he's been with one girl, and by the very eighth episode he doesn't manage to turn his mind. That is not at all uh, enough information being given upon us. But yeah, the screenplay writers doesn't manage to handle with this difficult aspects, and instantly his character that does became my favorite in the series. And his looks may differ, but he is one of the most courageous person in this whole group, and I really very much loved them. Even though there are a lot of charismatic characters being out there, I really loved and enjoyed Hughie's character on a whole. And he's the main POV character, and many do sideline his character from the season one. But yeah, he is the very notable one all throughout this season. And the other characters like the Frenchie and the Mother's Milk are really very enjoyable and really very funny. And yeah, a lot of the dialogue deliveries and their acting is somewhat really very perfect. And let's talk about Butcher. And as I have said already, Hughie is our main POV character out there in this series, right? But still, whenever Butcher does gets into the screen, and I can't be able to treat Hughie as the main POV character being out there. I straight away give a lot of importance to Butcher and the way his attitude and his dialogue deliveries and his mannerism. And mean the I don't know the actor's name, but he does play the role really very well. And courageous one does manage to stand up against the superhero without any. I mean, he is afraid, but still managed to face them with the courage, right? And he is the perfect example of what all the boys in this today generation just wanted to look like. And yeah, I really enjoyed his character, and he is standout performer all throughout this season one, to be honest. And even with even though he doesn't possess a lot of screen time like Hughie and Homelander, he does appear to be the most powerful one among the cast crew. And next thing, I really loved the relationship between Frenchie and Kimiko. They two looked really very good. Looking forward in the upcoming season how their relationship is going to progress, and where this series is going to take this group of band. And now let's talk about Starlight. I really loved her character, and I'm really very involved and interested in this character all throughout the season one. Whenever her ideologies does matched with mine, and I can able to feel all her guilt. And yes, really very relatable one. She doesn't done something really very remarkable all throughout this season, but still she does manage to play her part really very well. And yeah, very very enjoyable character. I, to be honest, I loved every characters out there in this season one. Hope things would be really very good in the upcoming seasons too. And the other characters like Queen Maeve, she didn't get enough screen time to showcase herself, and maybe in the upcoming season she may have a really very big role to play. And loved A Train, and he does have some villainous arc around him, but still, with the things he done, I have some what is sympathetic about his character on some time and deep too. I don't think he does deserves all the hate in this world, but still they somehow managed to give enough importance to this character too, and we can be able to feel him all throughout the season. And I think I do mention all the characters. Now let's talk about the most critical one, the Homelander. And this is a realistic approach. This is how a man would react if he does manage to possess all these superpowers out there in this world. And he does killed all the characters which does bother him without any second thoughts. And he's been raised all throughout in the lab. He doesn't had any love from any of his colleagues or from the lab researchers. So I can able to understand all his mindset and how he became really very treacherous in this world. But still, my heart somewhat a little bit leads towards him, and he just wanted to do and um, all these things for himself. Even though he does manage to help people and save their life, he wanted to do that for himself. He doesn't wanted to do that for a service. And the moment he does given the compound B to all the terrorists, straight away showcases how evil and a treacherous man he was. He does care only about himself, and interesting characterization. And I haven't seen a negative character like this all throughout my life. And even though he has been really very powerful, they does manage to give some valid point on how the boys does manage to approach and attack him. And the screenplay is somewhat really very perfect, and really loved Butch's character because he merely done something uh, impossible in this world, right? And loved the ending too. And Homelander's his relationship with Stillwell, aha, that's disgusting. I can't be able to watch the screen when they two came in together. I mean, just now feeling them is somewhat really very awkward to me. So anyway, let's see what's going to happen in the future. And the twist at the very end is somewhat brilliantly executed. And don't know why Homelander does save the Butcher by the very end, but yeah, looking forward in order to watch the season 2. Thoroughly enjoyed and loved each and every episode's been out there. So yeah, that's all about the review. Hope you guys do enjoy this. Do recommend some of the other series if you do think this does have some whole new perspective, and it is not like some Hollywood traditional films. Okay, so yeah, that's all about this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Meet you soon in another great video by the next week. Until then, tada, bye bye. Meet you soon.